Okay, yes, I am sitting in the passenger seat of my own car. And the reason is, well, we're just going to check a few things over, and I thought I'd bring you guys with me. So the first thing I need to do from sitting in here is open the door and pop the bonnet.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is just locating the dipstick, pulling it out there and wiping it clean. I'll then put it back in just to locate the bottom of the oil pan. Then I'm just taking the cap off the top of the oil filter to check for any residue that shouldn't be there. By now I've got the actual oil, checking between the minimum and maximum markers. That is looking okay, so I'm going to pop that back in. And the next thing I'm going to do is just discard the used tissue and then move on to the next phase of checking my fluids. So here I'm just checking the battery housing, just lifting the plastic casing off, and I'm just smelling down for any smells of burning or anything like that, which would lead me to think my battery might be on its way out. I'm also just checking the connections to make sure they're working all right, which they seem to be, and I'm doing the same next with the fuse box. Obviously just putting this plastic casing back on. It's a little bit fiddly, but I can manage to do it normally. Yeah, come on, pop down, there we are, and it's in. So I'm just going to do the same thing just off camera with the fuse box, which houses most of the car's electrics. Obviously French cars tend to be known for having slight electrical problems, so I don't want any issues with mine. Is that actually in? I think that's in. You don't need to check that. And here I'm just going around one of the tyres with a tread depth gauge, just checking how many millimetres of tread I have on each of the tyres. The tyres have recently been replaced, so I knew they weren't below the legal limit. However, I just wanted to check them just to be on the safe side, and here I'm just taking a reading from 12 o'clock, then one from around 6 o'clock, and then one from around 3 o'clock. I said 6, I actually meant 9. So just making sure that I've got enough tread depth, it's above 1.6 millimetres, and then the car is not an MOT failure. Just casually going around the car, and there we have it.
Okay, so I'm back in the driver's seat now, as you can see. And what we're going to do now is just going to take the car and I'm just going to give them a quick wash because it really needs doing. The body works quite bad. So we're just going to pop down and clean him.
So what I'm doing after I've cleaned the car, I'm just applying a liquid wax to the bodywork. So I'm just taking the cap off, popping that down on the ground, taking a clean microfiber cloth and just applying a couple of dabs of the wax to it and placing the bottle down. Oh, catch it. There we are. There we are. Didn't want oil and wax poured all the way over my driveway. So just making sure I put the cap back on, so if I do knock the bottle over, I don't spill any of it because it's not cheap. And then I'm just applying it lightly over the paintwork. You don't need to apply it heavy, otherwise you'll boil your paint. And just making sure that I get into all the little crevices around the handle and everything like that. Doing each quarter panel at a time, making sure that I take my time gradually. And just going over it like that, I then take a separate cloth to buff it out, applying a little bit more pressure. I don't know whether you can see, but obviously it does make the car slightly shinier and slowly brings out the shine on the paintwork. So I'm just going to go over that and do each quarter panel at a time. It takes normally about an hour, but it's well worth doing because it provides a protection over the paintwork, especially when we are coming to the autumn months of the year.
Okay, so I've just fully washed and waxed the car as well. As you can also tell, my outfit has changed because yesterday when I initially started, I realised it was actually raining and I didn't see the point in waxing the car because the rain would just wax it off. But anyway, glossing over that, the next job on the list is to change one of the headlight bulbs. Now, the bulb that I'm actually changing, in fact, I'll put you in the little holder thing. The bulb I'm actually changing doesn't replacing. I've got the receipt there from Europarts, and the bulb is behind me. It's a Neolux bulb. The reason that I am replacing the bulb, I'm just going to open the door because it's sweating in here. is because I've got one bulb that's considerably brighter than the other one. So what I've done is I've gone out and bought an identical one. So the next step is I'm going to go and fit that. Okay, day 3 of working on the car. I am once again back in the passenger seat of my own car. And what I've bought here is the, or what I hope is the correct bulb. What I'd actually bought was a side light bulb, not a headlight bulb. So took it back to Europarts and they were really, really helpful. They just swapped it over for me. And then I did that thing where I got my wallet out thinking it was going to cost more, and they said, no, it's exactly the same cost, nothing to pay, have a nice day. So I'm really, really happy with Europarts. I get a lot from them because there's one not too far from me, and, you know, the staff in there are very friendly. So I do buy a lot of stuff from Europarts. So hopefully, if anybody from Europarts sees this, they're not sponsoring this video, but, you know, you keep going, you're doing a really great job. And I'm not one for giving compliments, so take that and run. So what I'm going to do is pop the bonnet again, and we're going to try and fit this. Right, so the first thing again is I'm going to move the camera so you can see a little bit better at what I'm doing. Is I'm going to disconnect the fuse, pull that to one side. You've then on the 207, you've got this little rubber bit here, which protects the housing. I think I've already explained this once, but you know, and I do apologise about the wind noise. So undo the clip, and that releases the bulb. That one says Lucas, yes it is. So we're just going to remove that. Open up our new bulb. And we can see they're exactly the same. They've got the two little prongs there. So pop that back in. If anybody wants this, by the way, it's a Lucas standard 12-volt bulb. Hit me up in the comments and I'll post it to you free of charge, because I really don't need it and I don't see the point in chucking it out. So if anybody wants it, hit me up in the comments, goes to the first person, DM me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. So all I've got to do is find the housing, make sure it goes in the correct way, pop it in like that, and then you've got to look at the headlight house itself on the inside of the make sure it lines up, pop it in like so. It takes a couple of goes sometimes, but you know, start as one means to go on. Get in there, you bucket. There we are. Correct way. And then just secure it in with the clip. And it's literally that simple. Just pop the rubber seal back on. That feels like it's poking out a little bit. And the last thing you need to do is reconnect the electrical fuse. Just give it a push and we are literally done. It is just that simple.
Okay, so I forgot to film an outro again, so enjoy the rest of your day. God bless and see you in the next video.